Welcome to Kibbe on Liberty. So, Wu-Tang, dude.
Right.
So you guys GiveSendGo,
Yes.
brother-sister partnership, and I want to get into the revolutionary aspects of democratizing philanthropy, but you guys held a little party last night here in Vegas at Freedom Fest.
Right.
Wu-Tang, how does that happen?
Oh, we're like tight. Me and Wu-Tang. Me and that rap music. No.
You're just that cool. Yeah.
I actually bumped into him right before our party, and we got talking, and I was like, hey, you want to come on over to a better party? And so he showed up, and
Right.
it was great. And it was funny because I am not, I called it rap music, and then I was like, I don't think that's what I'm supposed to call
Yeah,
it.
is that the right term? Yeah.
But he was super funny. His jokes were hilarious.
On
Super
point witty.
down to earth. Yeah, he was great.
Yes.
Good connection.
And is this your first Freedom Fest?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a complete first. I hadn't heard of it before. So
And there's
cool.
over 2,500 people here. Do people know about GiveSendGo, or are they like not knowing about it and excited to learn that there is an alternative to that evil empire?
Right. No, it's actually a very quickly moving enterprise. So it literally seems every event that we go to now, we find more and more people are saying, oh my gosh, no, we know GiveSendGo. This is amazing. Because the platform is growing so quickly. It's incredible.
But one of the cool things about that too is that we do meet some people who go, because it sounds familiar, and then you say truckers or Kyle, and they go, oh, absolutely. But that's exciting to us because it means the audience, we have so much still to grow.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We have not hit it yet. We can't wait that there are still so many people that once they find out about us, their lives have been changed for the better.
It's so frustrating when you think you've sort of penetrated the public consciousness, and then you're brought back to earth when no matter how much good work you think you're doing, like nobody knows.
Right.
But that it's good to think of that as an opportunity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to start with a story and sort of get into the background of why you guys created this. But we had in Intersection, we met a guy in D.C., actually a local bar owner not too far from our house, a guy named Eric Flannery, who runs the Big Board. And we've been very outspoken at Free the People about lockdowns and mask mandates. And particularly the most offensive to me has always been requiring private businesses to require vaccination mandates in order to do that. And Eric was brave enough to say, you know what, everybody's welcome in my restaurant. And the city government came down on him like a ton of bricks. And so he immediately set up a GoFundMe page because he was on Fox News and he was on Glenn Beck, and he did my show, and people wanted to help him out. And they pulled the rug out from under him. And so he set up an account with you guys. And that's how he survived this several month long jerking around by the DC government simply for saying this radical thing: everybody's welcome in my establishment. I don't discriminate. Crazy talk.
Absolutely crazy. And the fact that the government thinks that we ought to bear the burden, the cost burden. Like, if the government wants to implement something, what they were telling him, from what I remember, is you need to put somebody at your front door to block people.
Yeah.
Like, you need to hire new personnel. He's like, wait a second, I pay you to do this. If you want to do policing of some sort, you man up these positions.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy, the overreach, the government that thinks that they can just do whatever, destroy livelihoods and businesses. I'm so glad that he did come to GiveSendGo.
Yeah.
Because it seems so logical. Like, if you are afraid of COVID, don't go to that restaurant.
Right.
And if you aren't, then there's a restaurant you can go to. Leave it up to the people. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm old enough to remember when our friends on the left actually thought that welcoming everyone to your restaurant was a virtue.
Right.
I guess the world has changed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think many things have changed. I mean, that whole idea of inclusivity is now completely foreign to the left. I mean, we talk about all the time, our platform in allowing some of these campaigns that we've allowed, that they're not, we're really, especially ones around legal defense funds. So it used to be a very progressive idea that that economically dispossessed people, lifting them up so that they could have the same standing as wealthy people was a benefit. It was a progressive idea. What GiveSendGo does is we do that by allowing people that don't, a Kyle Rittenhouse that doesn't have all the financial backing to pay for his own private legal defense fund. Like if Bill Gates wanted to do something, he just hires his own private firm. GiveSendGo allows people that aren't necessarily in the biggest financial position to have same access to a great legal defense. I think that that's an equalizer. That's an inclusivity.
It's radically democratic.
Exactly.
It is, absolutely.
Right.
And that's what I love about it. Well, let's talk about GiveSendGo is older than I thought, because we all discovered it probably when GoFundMe started judging who was worthy and who wasn't based on whatever their ideological matrix is. But that value that you just said, that everybody should have access to this. You don't need to be Bill Gates in order to defend yourself. That used to be what they claimed they were, but honestly, that's more true to who we are.
Right.
So why did you guys do this, brother sister team?
Sure. So we started back in 2014. We had seen, GoFundMe starting to be a thing, social media, people raising funds. We said, what a great idea. Like, easy way for people to access money. We're from a Christian family. We said, this is what Christians who say we want to help people and live like Jesus and love like Jesus, like this is what we should be doing, right? Like when we see a need, everybody working together to help that need. And so we said, what if we were to build a platform like GoFundMe, easy for people to raise funds, but with another aspect where we can share hope with people. Because a lot of times when people come on to a crowdfunding platform, it's because they're in a devastation, cancer treatments or a car accident or a house fire, like something really devastating has happened. And so we're like, they're feeling hopeless. No amount of money is going to fix that. What if we were to provide some hope for people? Let's make a platform that provides help and hope, because we believe those go hand in hand. And so GiveSendGo was born. We started walking it out year after year, watching it grow, but always saying, when will GiveSendGo take off? When will GiveSendGo take off? Because it was just, we, like any business owner, entrepreneur, you think you have the best idea, you're going to launch it, and it's going to change the world. They will come. No. But it took about 6 years of us just being faithful in it and walking it out, learning the lessons. And we woke up one morning to thousands and thousands of hate mail. And we were like, whoa, this is a little different. And we dug a little bit and we saw that a young man named Kyle Rittenhouse had found our platform because he had been deplatformed. And that launched us in a whole new season of GiveSendGo. And now why we were created. We weren't sure back then. We just thought a great alternative. Now we know
that one thing you said that's pretty powerful, and I don't think the other platforms do this, but the sense of purpose and community, and you actually have essentially a support network for people. So it's not just sending money. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like Heather said, this is fundamental to who we are as a platform. What we believe is that there are things bigger than money and that people can coalesce around those things better than they can around money. And so we want to create a family at GiveSendGo. We started an initiative recently called the Giver Army, givers that have just signed up to give to people they don't know on our platform, like to strangers, to help empower the world. The first team that we hired at GiveSendGo was a prayer team. Every campaign owner that sets up a campaign on GiveSendGo gets a phone call from somebody that has read their campaign and is willing to pray with them about whatever they're fundraising for. And actually, in the midst of COVID, when people were pushed into isolation, us bringing that into our platform was incredible, because people were feeling isolated and lonely, and they were having needs, and they're setting up campaigns, and then they're getting a phone call more than the money that they raised. And we heard this from multiple people.
Over and over.
It was like, that money, it was cool to raise that money.
Even for Kyle.
Yeah, even for Kyle. I mean, it was the messages that people sent, the messages of prayer, of support that people can send through the platform. We have something no other platform has, a Pray Now button, where people can send a message. And those things, they say, that when I get depressed, because we know in the journey of life, there's highs and there are lows and all of that stuff, they literally said when we're feeling down, we go to our GiveSendGo page and we open up and we read these letters and messages of people, and it lifts our spirit. It gets us back on track, and that's what it is. I mean, it's so powerful.
Because that's what I think is happening too, is that the left is, and these big tech platforms are trying to make people feel like they don't have a voice, and that's what they're doing. And so people can feel like, I've been deplatformed. I can't. Everybody hates me. Like a Kyle, everybody hates me.
Yeah.
Like they all think I'm this murderer, and then he hears these messages and he's like, wow, thousands of people are standing behind me.
Yeah,
I'm not alone. And that is the biggest thing that we want to push with GiveSendGo, is you are not alone.
But the way I think about it, like I've always been romantic about tech and how it democratizes people and it liberates them and it empowers them to do things for themselves. And every time some sort of grassroots uprising starts to take over big tech, there's some secret office somewhere where it's like a game of whack-a-mole. We must stop that,
right?
Because we're losing power. And I was a former Tea Party organizer, and I remember there was this crazy ancient platform called Ning, and all of these activists were using. It's now, Ning is long gone, but they're using this platform to organize buses to drive to Washington D.C. to come to these massive protests. And nobody, like even the park police who are responsible for knowing who's coming, nobody knew, because it was totally decentralized and totally democratized, and thousands of buses were organized all over the United States to do that. Well, that's when the machine started freaking out and they started picking on those guys. And I feel like every iteration since, and perhaps the most powerful, is the ability to raise money without permission, because they control that from the top down. So this might be one of the reasons why you guys have started getting so much heat. And did it start with Kyle Rittenhouse? Is that when they noticed?
Yeah, I mean, there was a campaign prior to that. I think you guys actually even talked about it, called Save James. It was a young twin boys in Texas. Parents got a divorce. And mom was saying that James was a girl. He was 4 years old, and started to, split the kids. One's a boy and one's a girl. And dad was like, no, he's not. Like he completely acts like a boy around me. She was just manipulating the situation. And GoFundMe did the same things. What they did, they canceled his fundraising campaign for his defense to actually raise his child the way he wanted. And that campaign was actually the campaign that was. It came to GiveSendGo, raised a lot of money. The person that saw that campaign, and when Kyle was getting kicked off of every platform, he's like, you know what? I think that there's a platform over here. So it may have happened just a little bit earlier, but Kyle definitely was the one that was like, boom, here's the spotlight on you guys. And what people saw was these people actually think on their feet. They're actually, because we fought every big institution. I mean, Discover Card came out. All the payment processors were crunching down. We were on the fly to 24 hours a day, making switches, to keep the thing up, keep it going, because we're like, this is America.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on? And so we fought so hard, but it was definitely in that moment that the big institutions were like, who's this company? What are they doing? Yeah. And they're defying us.
Yeah, there is a super creepy model that they're trying to implement, because debanking somebody is a great way to totally destroy their lives. And this is a fundamental part of the Chinese social credit system, which, by the way, is not a government system. It is a government-controlled private system. And when I see campaigns like this, and when I see, and we're going to talk about Canadian truckers, but when I see this sort of behavior, I'm like, wow, this is insanely authoritarian and dangerous.
Right.
And I think people are starting to wake up to it, but I'm not sure people are aware of just how dangerous it is to let institutions just arbitrarily decide you don't get to belong anymore.
And then we say, oh, let's go to a cashless society. Oh, great. Even better. Let's let someone we have to use whatever credit cards we can get, whatever trackable money that we can get.
And it's going to happen at the next pandemic, because we know cash carries diseases. Yeah. So we're just going to have to wipe it out, because it's a physical thing.
Thank you for joining me today on Kibbe on Liberty, and for being part of our fiercely independent audience. Every week, my organization, Free the People, partners with Blaze TV to bring you this show. My guests bring smart perspectives on everything from current events to timeless philosophical debates. If you like what you hear, go to freethepeople.org/KOL and support Kibbe on Liberty so we can continue to produce these honest conversations with interesting people. Now, let's get back to it. Well, we're going to have a government crypto coin. And we'll all be in the matrix and it'll be over. But no, I don't want to get pessimistic because the revolution is you guys. And so that I want to get the timing right because you had that small campaign and then you had Kyle Rittenhouse and then along comes this Canadian trucker thing.
Yeah, with a lot in between. We had the
Breonna
police officers, Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and then all the voter fraud things and anti-CRT and all the anti-masking. So we became, if you Google us, you'll see, I think it's actually funny, it says the platform for Trumpist rage. And that's like what they call us. I'm like, that's an interesting one. Good job.
Yeah, that's
a good one. A Trumpist
that's
rage.
That's the vibe you're throwing off
right
now.
I'm like, rage. That's me. That's why me and Supreme are like rage.
So what's the growth trajectory? So Kyle Rittenhouse was a year and a half ago? I don't even know that.
Almost 2 years
almost
now.
2 years.
It was the end of August in 2020. Yeah.
And so we'll talk about the growth in a minute because I want to get to the Canadian truckers because you guys can fill in the blanks here. But I recall, again, the authoritarian government of Canada and Justin Trudeau, who's just I'm not even going to.
One of my employees bought me a book, and it says "My Boyfriend Justin Trudeau," and it just has pages of poses of Justin Trudeau in all different poses,
including the blackface one.
Yeah, probably yes. It's actually super hilarious.
Yeah.
But I keep it on my desk just to remind me of because we got called to Parliament, Jacob and I, to have to go testify in Parliament.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So. Fun times.
Okay. Well, I want to hear that whole story, but the reaction again, going back to the whack-a-mole metaphor. He thought he had it locked down, and he thought that everybody was in line. And then Canadian truckers, who sort of represent that forgotten class of people who are not only essential but expected to risk their lives to serve the lockdown laptown class that are waiting comfortably behind closed doors for their Uber Eats to arrive at the door, having no idea how many people are involved in actually bringing food to people so that we can actually eat.
Right.
And that uprising, kind of like the Tea Party, came out of nowhere. And one of the first things that happens is people want to donate. And how quickly did GoFundMe shut that down?
So it was actually Tamara who became the figurehead for Tamara Lee in Canada. Set up the campaign early January. It's kind of like the first of the year.
Yeah.
And so the campaign actually got shut down right at the beginning of February, where they finally said, "Hey, we're gonna shut this campaign down, and we're gonna take the money and give it to people that we want to give it to."
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna steal it.
We're gonna steal it. Yeah, that's called stealing in most people's terminology.
Yeah.
So,
I would love to be around that boardroom table when someone's like, "Hey guys, I have a great idea. This will be the best marketing idea. Like, let's just tell them we're not giving the money back. We'll just give it to like our charities."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yes."
And how
perfect.
much? It was like millions.
$9
million. 9 Canadian.
Canadian, 9 million Canadians.
That's
so
still
like,
real money. Yeah.
No, definitely.
Right? Yeah. Crazy. So in the background of that, which people don't really realize, there was campaign started right around the same time as Tamara had set up her campaign called Adopt a Trucker, a man named Chris Garra. And he was like one of the founding movers of the trucker campaign. And he had heard about GiveSendGo. He had already known about it. So he set up a campaign on GiveSendGo. So he's got this campaign on GiveSendGo. It's raising money like the GoFundMe is, but he's the one getting paid out because he receives his money. We let him get his money, like just as it should be. And GoFundMe's not releasing any of this money to Tamara. So he's using his GiveSendGo campaign to fund the whole trucker movement. Everything that happened was coming through a GiveSendGo campaign that was running simultaneously with the trucker one. And then because the trucker movement started to gain momentum and people started seeing it, the GoFundMe campaign started raising a bunch of money. It could have gone the other way where the GiveSendGo one had, it's just Tamara and the movement and her spirit brought that GoFundMe to forefront, and that's where the public eye got on it, and money really started coming in. It went really high really quickly from like January 20th to February 1st. Most of the money on that GoFundMe was ran, and it's just like raised really quickly. And then GoFundMe started like, hey, we're not going to release this.
And that created a storm. People were pissed off, and this campaign on GiveSendGo became known that there was another place to give. And overnight, I would like to say I always say like the next morning, or when we didn't wake up because we didn't sleep, because all night long I think we had 10 million DDoS attacks that day that campaign went live. People trying to take us down, trying to get on the site. Half the time it would just be a 404 page because our servers were being hit with so many bots and things like that. But yet in the morning, $2 million in less than 24 hours had been raised because people were passionate about not letting that freedom be taken away that GoFundMe tried to do.
Did hackers ever shut it down? Did you guys ever go down for a while?
We did. We took it offline. It was Super Bowl night, actually, at around midnight. The hackers were able to get us.
Which I'm thankful for, actually. Like, everybody's watching Super Bowl. No one's on GiveSendGo. If you're going to shut our site down, during the Super Bowl, that's great, you know. But sure enough, if you went to GiveSendGo, it would redirect you to givesendgone.wtf, and it would say GiveSendGo is frozen across the front of it because they were trying to freeze the funds, and we said, no, you can't freeze these funds. You're not the boss of us.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where it comes from, or is it decentralized, or is this a centralized attack?
So the DDoS attacks, I think, is pretty well decentralized. I mean, it's coming from a variety of different places.
Lots of IPs.
Different countries. They're just routing traffic through different places to mask their identities. As far as the hack itself, different than the DDoS attack, there was somebody that came out right at the beginning. You probably saw the video and shouting and screaming in some demonic possessed craziness about how he was the one that hit GiveSendGo. So that obviously we have done a lot since then. We've had forensic investigations. We've hired independent security consultants. We've brought in a bunch of heavy hitters.
Penetration testing. We've
got some really great Department of Defense contractors that have come alongside and have ramped up.
Now, we're afraid to say this, right? Because you want to come out and say, hey, guys, we're secure. But guess what that then invites?
Right.
Yeah.
And so.
Like that hacker guy up there, he had known connections to Anonymous. He was also a Canadian citizen, and he had done work for Canadian intelligence. It looked very fishy from us. To be honest, we've reached out to the FBI. We've reached out to all of our intelligence communities here in the U.S., and they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They're like not returning phone calls, not willing to open an investigation. I mean, this was a pretty big thing that happened.
Yeah.
And they've completely just let it,
And the fact is that the Canadian government had come out and said, you need to shut these campaigns down. Now, they didn't tell us that. We saw it on social media. We saw, we heard it through the grapevine that this is what the Canadian government was saying. We kept saying, well, we're not going to. And so the Canadian government, again, what we were talking about power, like they were losing their power. They couldn't do anything, and that makes people fearful. And so what they did is they started just throwing things to see what would stick in that emergency act.
Yeah, I think Klaus Schwab probably called from the Death Star and said,
exactly.
If you don't fix this, I will find somebody who will.
This is something, seriously. Oh, my gosh.
So you guys have invested a lot to protect the integrity of the system and the community. And
yeah, and continuing to do so, continuing to ramp it up. I mean, obviously technology is a moving target. I mean, it's constant updates, constant rollouts, everything. You've got a platform that has a lot of functions, a lot of variability in it, a lot of growth and movement. So it's a constant evolution, and we're just continuing to ramp up. I mean, we are in the process right now of bringing on another team just to continue. Outside team, not GiveSendGo. We want outsiders to just be hitting us all the time, the good guys, and reporting back, hey, this is where you need to be, this is what you need to be doing. We have our own internal teams that are monitoring and looking at stuff.
Because we really want people to know that they can be safe on GiveSendGo, and that just leads us into, every month we get subpoenas, right? Like, hey, we have a federal investigation on this January 6th insurrectionist or this person. And they've been starting to overstep their bound and say, we also want all the donors' information.
Sure.
And we're going, no, hold up. We're not going to do that. And so not only
this
are
is
we
breaking news.
Yeah. So not only are we upping our security because we don't want a hacker to be able to come and release it all, but we are saying, no, we're going to be fighting this battle. And it's probably going to be getting to that. That's why it's breaking news, is that we're stepping in saying we will take this as far as we need to take it
this is gonna
in
be
order
a
to
big
say
battle.
we will not.
We're not releasing this information.
There are
the Constitution
there are
protects the right of association. This is the First Amendment. Our freedom of speech, our freedom to associate. These things are fundamental to a free society. And for the government, a cursory look in the history of just our country. I mean, you could go to every government, but just our country, you can see the weaponization of government collected information. Now, the internment camps of the Japanese in World War II was the Census Bureau data that the government took to then go, this was supposed to be safe, we're not, it's not going to be used for anything bad, blah, 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 blah. And then it was taken and weaponized against people.
So all they need is a database of all the people who gave to this campaign and this campaign and this campaign, and they start going, oh, we need to start watching this guy or this gal. And so this is going to be something that we're not only securing our site, but also getting ready to step into the battle of saying we're not going to give this up.
So you're building a legal team, basically.
We are.
Yeah, very interesting moment.
So from our prayer team to our legal team, to you're all over the place.
Right. So as someone that's ran nonprofits for all these years, we're having this constant fight over the same thing, where they want to grab your donor list and various activist states, particularly New York and California.
Right.
I think this is a slightly different issue, but it's in the same bailiwick because they want to intimidate people not to give, and the origins of the protections for nonprofits, and it may apply to your case, was Martin Luther King's group was being targeted by segregationists, and as it turns out, the federal government itself. So
NAACP v. Alabama, I think it was. Yeah. Right.
So again, going back to this earlier theme, there used to be a time when we all agreed that people have the right to privacy and the right to speak their minds and support causes they believe in.
During Kyle's, jumping back a little bit, but at Kyle's campaign, a police officer, you might have heard of this, gave $50 or something like that.
25.
Was it $25 to Kyle's campaign with his own money? It probably autofilled his work email, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even he didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. And he got put on leave and an investigation, and he lost his job because of giving a donation. Right. And then it comes out his chief is in a picture, full uniform, walking with the BLM. And William Kelly, the police officer, was like, I don't care if that's what he wants to support, but why is this is a double standard here.
Yeah, a level playing field. And let me ask a kind of a technical question. How do you vet the campaigns that you accept, and how do you make sure that you're saying that it's fair and equal, but surely there are things you say no to? If you've made it this far into the show, it means I must be doing something right. Kibbe on Liberty is just one of the amazing products we created for the people. We tell emotionally compelling stories and produce educational videos for the liberty curious. Our award-winning documentaries personalize all things liberty, independence, creativity, hard work, integrity, and perseverance. After the show, check out our work at freethepeople.org. And if you like what you see, donate to support what we do. That's freethepeople.org. Now back to the show.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great question. So there are realities. There are terrorist groups. There are like government lists of people that can't access the banking structures, like terrorist organizations. And when we onboard somebody to receive funds, on the front side, I don't really care who you are setting up a campaign. It's who's going to receive this money. So every individual that comes on to receive the funds that have been raised goes through a KYC AML process. It's like opening up a bank account. You're vetted that you're not on a terrorist watch list, that you're not on a person of high interest, that you pass.
Not a fraudster. Yeah, like you haven't committed a lot of fraud in your life, things like that.
Yeah, and so we do a verification on that level, and then if there are other flags that our verification team finds in the campaign that call it out or point us to certain things, we dig a little bit deeper. What you can't do is, and this is why we push it back to the people, we say, GiveSendGo, we're not going to be if you want power structures debased and brought back to people, you got to take responsibility for who you give your money to.
Yeah.
So we're not taking the responsibility of, hey, I'm making sure that the bodega campaign that was just started, that it is definitely going to them. We're going to completely verify that. That's why we put who's receiving the funds on the campaign page so people know.
And that's on your site because
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that campaign is on our site because GoFundMe shut them down. Yep.
So crazy.
But
at least it's predictable, I suppose.
Right. I mean, we love it. They've given us so much free advertising. I mean, they're our best marketing arm. I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, so we do a full verification. We state on the campaign page who's receiving the funds so people can know that, and then they can make an informed decision about, hey, do I want to give to this person? And beyond that, we say it's your responsibility as an individual. If you want us to be the responsible party, then we'd be just like GoFundMe.
Shutting things down
And making the determination. So if you pass that verification identity where you're allowed to access the banking system that exists right now, and we're looking at even other avenues around that because we are very freedom oriented. We recognize that the government has weaponized things in the past. So cryptocurrency provides a potential for really anonymized financial transactions, and we're just walking those things out and trying to we want people to take responsibility for their donation habits, and then allow it to operate with. You can't be breaking the law. You can't be fundraising for I'm going to go kill somebody or I'm going to do something illegal. But pretty much, if you're fundraising for legal things. That's it. And we don't have to agree. I mean, the Global Church of Satan came onto our platform to fundraise. Hey, go for it. This is what we told them.
How'd they do?
Yeah, well, so our one caveat, we have two caveats. So our caveats for our platform are,
well, no murder.
Well, yes. There's obviously all the illegal things.
No, but no murder, which is,
yes.
For us, abortion is murder. And so you can't raise money for an abortion on GiveSendGo because no murder.
Right.
So bottom line,
it's harming of a life. So we've said, you know what, they might allow you on GoFundMe to fundraise for abortions. On GiveSendGo, we don't believe in harming children. And so we're not going to allow that. We're not going to allow fundraising for that. You can go there to do that.
So we're going to call it GoFundMe from
now on. That will be it.
Yeah. And then also, if you're an adult and you are fundraising for your transition surgery and that's a choice that you've made and want to do it, fine. You can use GiveSendGo to do that. If you are trying to fundraise to do that to a child, sorry.
Child abuse.
It's child abuse. We're not going to allow you, even though that may be legal, in the country in some places, we're not going to allow that to happen on our platform. So those are the two things that we've really said, hey.
But adults, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Like, you're making your decision, go for it. Like, you'll deal with the consequences of your actions, obviously.
And we have our team that reaches out and says, hey, just wanted to know. We can see that you're going through this, and we'd like to let you know that we'd love to pray with you and just let you know that you were created, you're valuable, just who you are, right?
And
but
value,
but besides that, you are an adult, and adults make decisions. We all make decisions that affect us and have consequences, and we're going to allow people to. And that's what freedom. That's why people are afraid of freedom, is because we don't do good things with freedom all the time, and there are consequences. But that's what freedom is.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like and my beef is not that there's, and this is Tim Pool's big bug, is as long as it's a top-down system controlled by people, and let's say they're always good people with good intentions and good agendas, and then you get so big and some multinational monster scoops you up, and then it just becomes another weapon to be used against the customers.
Right.
But my bigger beef is like, have a transparent set of rules, whatever they are.
Right.
And you just laid out some pretty clear rules.
This is it. And this go F me if you want to use a different platform. The only reason you'd come to our platform to do one of those two things is because you're trying to make a stand, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to the Christian Freedom platform, and obviously you're just trying to make a stand, which is what the Global Church of Satan did. They came to do abortion rituals on our site, and we said, oh, sorry, we don't allow for murder.
That's like the only thing.
So
and
go.
it's even in your tenets on your website. It says we don't harm life.
We don't harm people. Yeah.
But okay, so do raise funds for your
Statues
your statue,
and
Balfour, whatever his name is. like that's cool. Like, do your thing. And so I think they were trying to set up a lawsuit.
And that's what we say.
They're either a lawsuit or they're just trolling you.
Yeah. But I want people from different perspectives. I mean, here's like a fundamental thing for me is, and for both of us, is we recognize we're human. Like, I'm not God. I don't know everything. And in order for me to grow...
We all heard it here.
Yes, right. In order for me to grow, I need to be challenged. I need people with different opinions, different views to challenge me on mine so that I can learn and grow. And I have to have an attitude that's willing to do that. And
shutting off dialogue, shutting off people's voices.
Or at least a sister that corrects you.
Right. Exactly.
Do you guys fight a lot like siblings do, or is this a mostly peaceful relationship?
I say mostly peaceful, but we'll see. Right, Jacob? Mostly peaceful, right?
Say it.
Say it.
Is that the first time you heard him say that sometimes I'm wrong?
Mark it down.
You know what? We have a thing here, Pinky and the Brain. All right, I'm the brain, and she's Pinky.
One time, someone said, "What is the future plans for GiveSendGo?" And Jacob's like,
"I'm like, oh my gosh, Pinky and the Brain. What are we gonna do tomorrow? We're gonna try to take over the world."
And so I said, "So who's Pinky and who's the brain?" And then guess what I got stuck with? Pinkies are super useful, though.
So talk about the growth. I started asking this question, but I wanted to frame it a little bit. Talk about the business, the size of the business, who works for you. Are either one of you guys techies?
Her more than me.
Yeah. So I worked at a marketing firm, did some website design and development, very basic stuff before this, but neither one of us were, hey, we can just sit down and code a whole site. And so this has been a huge learning process. One of our first person that we hired was a developer from India, part-time, just helping us get this thing going. Well, actually, we hired
the company, so everything was like limited resource. We're trying to like get this thing going. So it really was a incredible. We say this is just a God thing that we found this, because in India it's really hit or miss with developers.
Sure,
their system doesn't give people the mindset to think creatively.
I'm totally thinking about outsourcing my team. She's sitting over there. So.
And so we hired this guy, and actually we started building a relationship with him. We went over to India for his wedding a few years ago, which was super cool.
That's awesome.
Met him in person, and then we hired him full time when we got to a stage we could. And then from there, we have just added to our team, from our prayer team, our customer service, our creative team, our development team, communications team. And so 40 people?
Yeah, we're around 40 people
on the team right now.
In 11 states. Everybody's remote because we're an online platform. So
how many countries? Because we're in a bunch of countries.
Like 6 different countries: Costa Rica, India, Pakistan, just various places that we have people working. So super cool.
How much money flows through the donations right now?
Yeah, so we're probably seeing $7 to $8 million a month, and it's growing. We're probably going to see 250% growth this year, so that'll be...
We changed the way. So we'd been using Stripe as our processor, and we know that a lot of the things we had been using when we first started, not knowing that we would ever be in a battle, we're now having to find backups and redundancies and move off of, because we don't want to be stuck with being deplatformed. And so... But we had Stripe as our processor, and what we made people do is when they came to the site, set up a campaign, they were sent to Stripe, having to fill out convoluted information, super confusing because it looked like business information, and then they would be brought back, and it was really confusing. Stripe shut a lot of campaigns down just because people filled things out wrong, and then it was like a mess, and people were mad. And just within the last 3 months, we made a new design on our site. So our site's all updated, nice new logo, beautiful, love it. And then we've also changed the way our processor connects. And so now when people come on, they never leave our platform. They can set up in minutes. They can immediately publish their campaign and start raising money before ever attaching bank details. That's how GoFundMe does it. And we were like, in order for us to compete, we need this simple process. And so we were able to pull it off in the last couple months, as well as upping our security and all these other things. But we are there. It's been going for the last few weeks, and we are watching explosive growth as it's become so easy to start a campaign on GiveSendGo.
Yeah. I assume most of them are not these massive, big, in the press kind of campaigns.
Completely, yeah. I mean, 99%. I mean, obviously, those get the press, and people talk about them. But this is what I love about GiveSendGo is so many campaigns of people just engaging the world in beautiful ways. I mean, adopting children and helping people in need, and just doing some amazing things. And we love it. It's really, really like we're a part of so many different things, helping facilitate just amazing trade. This is why it's such a hope-filled thing for us, even. Yeah. Because we're like, this is amazing. Look at all the things that people are doing. Hundreds of new campaigns daily.
And even in those sad campaigns, where it's a tragedy, and there are many times, Jake, when I'll be like, oh, did you read this campaign? Like this 3-year-old drowned or whatever, like horrible, like tears, brought to tears from it. We still are so thankful that we're able to offer a platform that they can have a community around them. They can get someone praying for them. They can raise money quickly and easily, because that's the last thing they need to worry about at this moment.
And, I think we were talking about this before we went live, but, the whole freedom philosophy, which is highly critical of the welfare state and this massive bureaucracy that we think actually harms the people it's meant to help. The alternative has to be, you got to step up,
right?
And you got to do it,
right?
And this is, cutting out the middleman is everything to me, because even large nonprofits are just as bureaucratic, right, and potentially corrupt, but person to person,
this is it.
We don't need the government stepping in. That was not what the government was made to do. To step in,
right? A year and a half ago, GoFundMe CEO.
Every time you say it makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, I'm like, GoFundMe.
He gets a little more angry every time you say it. Yeah.
It's just the audacity.
Trumpist rage.
It's the Trumpist rage. He had the audacity to write like some editorial or whatever about how governments need to be stepping up to be helping, and I'm like, you have a crowdfunding platform that's purpose is to get people to step up and help each other. Like, you're speaking just the opposite of what your platform is intended to do. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. And so we wrote a response to that. It was like, No way. You're out of your mind. Why in the world are you trying to
People
get...
need to help people. That is,
Right.
governments were
It's a
not
strength.
made
It's
to
the
come in
fabric of our
and help.
country, because real relationships are built there.
And you know
Real-
what? We're seeing it happen. So despite what you hear that we all hate each other, when there's a house fire across the street, no one's saying, well, that was a Republican or Democrat or Libertarian. I'm not going to give. People come together in these tragedies when something happens. And that's the beautiful thing, because what we're being told and what we're being, everybody's saying that there's nothing beautiful happening. Everybody hates each other. That is not the truth. And we see it 1,000 times over every single day on GiveSendGo.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's the optimism of all of this bad, is that whenever people are left free to work together in cooperation from the bottom up, magic happens.
Right.
And we just have to remind people that the people that are trying to divide you have an agenda to basically take your power away,
Right.
for their purposes.
Make you fearful, then come in with a solution to
Yep.
take away your freedom.
Yeah, huh.
It's crazy.
At Kibbe on Liberty, freedom is a lifestyle 24/7, something you live and breathe and wear every day. If that describes you, you need the very best Liberty swag in the market today, just like this shirt I happen to be wearing. Go to freethepeople.org/KOL and check out our exciting merch. You too can love liberty and look cool.
So you guys are at Freedom Fest. You're obviously you have some sort of growth plan. What's the plan to turn on more people to this thing, and like where's the company going to be in a couple of years?
Well, we really believe we're going to overtake GoFundMe in the next couple of years as the leading donation platform in the world. Like right now, just with our new expansion rollout of all these new things, we expanded into 80 countries, from 40 to 80. So we literally have campaigns now on every continent except Antarctica. We're trying to find that brave soldier that's going to just set up
Go
activity
up
down there. But
It really sounds kind of cold.
yes. But we see amazing things in front of us. Coming to Freedom Fest for us, because we are not, as much as we might have personal opinions about certain issues in society and stuff like that, we want our platform to be known and used as much on the left as it is on the right. And so we want to be at more things that are more open to more bigger audiences. So we're actively looking for where can we be, where we can engage with people on the left as much as on the right, so that everybody's using our platform, not just one side of the aisle or the other. And so we've got some, strategic ways that we're looking to do that with influences various people and
we know, we just know that there will be a day when everybody will need us. Like,
Yeah.
you might think you're safe and you align everything with what the world's telling us or the country's telling us. But there will be a day when maybe you make a decision and everybody turns on you, and you will be thankful for GiveSendGo. And we want everybody to know that we will be here for them to offer them help and hope, because those two things are supposed to go together.
Where do people find you if they want to start a campaign or just know more about what you're up to?
Yeah, GiveSendGo.com. We have a whole bunch. Like Heather said, we set out this new system. It is so easy to get a campaign set up. It's incredible. GiveSendGo.com, we've got start a campaign buttons all over the place. You can see what other people have done. We've got press pages where you can read about. You've got about us pages, all of that. And then social media platforms. We're all over the place in various social media places. You can find us on the main ones and the not so main ones and everywhere in between. We're just getting out there, getting the word about GiveSendGo, our mission, who we are, that we love people. Like we find value in who people are, even the differences that we have. It's so valuable, and we want to promote that. We want to support that. I love people that I don't agree with, and I'm going to continue to.
And I encourage people who are listening to go on to GiveSendGo.com and actually just scroll through, see some of the campaigns there. Donate if you have a couple extra dollars. Hit that pray now button, hit the share now button, and just let people know that you're with them. You're taking a stand with them, because that's how we'll start changing this. This is how we're going to be that tip of the spear that takes me. No, I'm even shortening it more. Go F me.
GF me.
GF me. We're going to take them down because people aren't stuck on GoFundMe like they are on Facebook. You know, like all their pictures. No, when they need crowdfunding, we want them to know and think about us and know that we're a better platform, easier to use, more friendly, and they'll be free to do what they need to do.
Okay, I'm giving Heather the last word. I assume that's not the first time that's happened.
Definitely not.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you. This is great.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the conversation, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and also ring the bell for notifications. And if you want to know more about Free the People, go to freethepeople.org.